Welcome, Laura, to my CV and resume writing course, which you've helped me to create. So I thought it would be fantastic to get you on the course to give your first-hand experience as a experienced recruitment consultant who's had lots of experience helping customers and clients craft their resumes and get them ready and get them into jobs. So I'd like you to introduce yourself and give us a bit of information about your very experienced background.
Cool. So I'm Laura. My background is in HR and recruitment. I've got in excess of 10 years experience working in both big corporations and also smaller businesses. So I feel like I've got quite a good overview of what employers look for, depending on the company size. I think in my time as a recruiter, I worked it out. I've written, I think, in excess of 1,000 CVs. So breaking that down, that's between like 75 and 100 a year that I've personally written myself. But then obviously being a recruiter, I can look at, 20, 30 CVs a day if I'm recruiting for like one position. And that spans from entry level to C-suite. So a really, really good overview. And I think because of the length of time that I've been in this industry, I've also seen the changes as like ATS has come into play, AI, COVID, all these things that have had a really dramatic impact on the landscape when it comes to applying for a job and specifically writing a resume or CV.
That's a really good point, actually. So I've got a list of questions here, which we'll go through. But you obviously bringing up AI is a good one to ask as well. I'm thinking top of my head now. Questions around that would be: is it a really good idea? How could you use AI for crafting your CV? Maybe we should start with that question, if
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can use AI, and I teach this in the course to help a little bit with making sentences sound more professional. The
Right.
one big thing that I say in the course is don't put your personal information into any large
Yeah.
language model because it's going to then use that information to train on their data set. So but you can use it for spell checking and grammar and
Right.
rephrasing words and maybe trying to help with brainstorming some keywords that you want to use to get past the ATIS. But is there anything that we can use large language models for and what we definitely shouldn't, other than the things that I've just explained?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Like, don't put any personal information into, any sort of AI. Yeah, there are different tools that you can use. So, like you said, like with the grammar, so you could use a tool like Grammarly. That's just a simple copy and paste in there, and it will just check it for any spelling errors. Anything that you might have missed. That's a really, really handy tool for, just an extra QA.
Hmm.
From a recruiter perspective, I would really emphasize doing something like this, just because, if a CV comes to me and it does have errors in it does stand out. It really does, because that's your first representation. That's your kind of first chance to make
So
an
you're
impression.
saying, as a recruiter, you have received somebody's resume or CV. I'll just say for the sake of this video, we say CV over here
Yeah,
in UK, don't we?
yeah,
So we're probably going to say that.
yeah,
Um, so you advise a recruiter to take the digital CV that's been received and then drop it into something like Grammarly just to check for grammar and then it's going to give a really quick indication as
yeah,
to how many spelling mistakes are in there, and that gives you a sense of this applicant hasn't really tried that hard to make sure that they're. Is that
yeah, yeah. And it sounds cutthroat, but the issue is, I suppose, as a recruiter, is like I've just said, I can receive hundreds of CVs in a day, but I'll whittle them down to 20
mm,
or 30. And then that's just a really easy way for me to just sense check and
yeah,
just and it is cutthroat and it is harsh. But equally, everyone's got access to those tools now.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's just something to really be aware of. So there's that. So that works from both an applicant and a recruiter perspective. I suppose if you're writing a CV, and I guess we'll talk about the ATS, but if when you're job searching, copy and paste those job descriptions into ChatGPT or Bard or whatever it is that you use, and ask it to pull out keywords.
yeah.
Do that maybe across like 5 or 10,
Hmm.
and then you'll see the keywords that keep coming. Don't do 1, 2, or 3. Don't do like a small amount because it won't mean anything. Do between 5 and 10, and then when you see these consistent keywords popping up, you can even put it into Excel and just like run a quick kind of, pull out like the most common words. Use AI like that, because what that will do is like really position you in a way that when you do submit your CV, you're ticking all those keywords, you're ticking all those key boxes, and the chances are whoever's recruiting for it has written the job description. So those words resonate in their brain.
Right.
So in your CV, it's like, oh, okay, then okay, and it just, that does two things actually. It will get you through an ATS, which we'll talk about, but also when it gets in front of a person, which is the hardest thing really, I think, when it comes to writing a CV these days. When it gets in front of that person automatically connects with that CV and can see that the person that's written it has really taken the time to read the job description and write a CV that speaks to that position.
Yeah. You said not 1 or 2, but 5 or 10. Sorry, what were you referring to there?
Yeah, sorry. Like with the job descriptions, don't put like 1 or 2 or 3 job descriptions into an AI system and ask it to pull out keywords. You need to put in some real data. You need to put in like 5 or 10. So what I'm saying is, if you chose 3 job descriptions and put it in, it might give you like weird results. Whereas if you put 10 in, you've got more chance of seeing like the consistent keywords. So it's a little bit more time consuming, but it's definitely worth the effort.
So are you saying that if you you pick a certain field, so say I want to become, I don't know, like a developer or a firefighter, 2 very different jobs there. You would go and seek out job descriptions for 10 firefighter job descriptions or 10 developer, and then put all 10 of them into a large language model to find commonalities between the same kind of key phrases and keywords for that field. Okay.
Exactly. Because a lot of it's down to like the lexicon. So if I'm speaking on a corporate level, we'll use words like stakeholders. Entry level CVs, you don't really need to use terms like stakeholders. It's not really relevant. It's not really appropriate. But what you would find is if you're applying for, I don't know, like a director level, then the term stakeholder would come up as a keyword, and it's used in every job description. So that's just like a really simple like example, and it will just tell you what is and isn't appropriate. Because let's say you are writing a CV for a mid or an entry level position, and you kind of use all these like key phrases like stakeholder or all those types of things. You run the risk of your CV not getting anywhere, because the ATS and the recruiter is going to look at that and be like, oh, they're either be confused. It'd be confusing. That's where AI, I think, actually drags people down. Also, just speaking about AI, I can tell when a CV has been put into ChatGPT, and if you're, let's say you're applying for, I don't know, a cleaning position, let's say, right to the cleaning position, right to the skills that you've had, about teamwork and all that sort of thing. What I've seen, and this is like a recent example, is somebody who was actually applying for, I think it was a cleaning position in a school, and they've got a really impressive background. But what ChatGPT, I think it was that they used, what it actually did was just completely like hyperbole every single word within the CV, so that when I read it, I was like, I don't even know what you've done,
So you're saying it kind of takes out the personal aspect of it and generalizes a lot of the terms. So when you're going for something maybe bespoke or even entry level, and they want to see your character, what's going to happen with a large language model is it's going to depersonalize it. I'm thinking that in certain corporate jobs, maybe more senior jobs, everything becomes management speak, and that you can maybe get away with it a little bit at that level because people are in that world of all that lexicon, as you say, of seeing these buzzwords and sort of understanding what they are. But then it doesn't really set you apart, I suppose.
No.
And you haven't got your personality across. So that's a good top tip.
Yeah.
Large language models can run the risk of stripping your own unique personality away from the resume, and that might be a detriment to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So by all means, use AI to check it and whatnot, but the first draft should definitely be something that you've written yourself, and then if you need a little bit of help, just like fine tuning, then fantastic. But there's only so many people in this world that can spearhead an initiative, and I think I've read about 20 million CVs. I'm just like, okay. And somebody else spearheading an initiative, but it doesn't actually tell me anything. And this would be something to discuss as well. It doesn't actually tell me anything.
Yeah.
Like, spearheaded it to what?
Yeah. So something I mentioned in the course is to actually quantify what you've done with metrics. Otherwise, it's all a load of buzzwords and it all sort of sounds impressive.
Yeah.
But if the reader then comes away from it and doesn't actually understand what it is physically, actually that you've done, then it's one, it doesn't probably isn't going to set you apart, and two, it leaves they're not as confident, I suppose. They've got doubts or questions around your actual capabilities, and that's going to come out in an interview when they start asking you and probing you those kind of questions.
Exactly.